What's up, everyone? Welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, insane people, and all that kind of stuff. And as usual, we'll be checking out some more Reddit posts today. So, be sure to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments. And we're getting right into it. Am I the a-hole for demanding my husband cancel his boys' weekend and come home? Basically, my husband and I have been married about 6 years and have a 3-year-old daughter, Elle. Prior to getting married and having Elle, we were both very independent people. This hasn't changed. As much as we value our couple F family time, we also both cherish time to ourselves and with our own friends. We came up with an agreement that we each get 1 weekend a year to do whatever we like. Go away, stay in a hotel, go out with friends, while the other stays home looking after Elle. It's been working really well so far. Well, this past weekend was my husband's time, and he chose a fishing trip with his pals, staying in a cabin roughly 30 minutes away. No problems. Saturday morning, the worst happened. My sister was involved in a serious car wreck. She's on life support. It's touch and go, and I'm devastated. I can't say much more. I called my husband to tell him and asked he come home ASAP, and he refused. He said it's his weekend and he'll come by the hospital Monday. He wasn't totally heartless. He listened to me cry and scream and reassured me she'd be okay. How do we know that? But he was adamant that he's enjoying the remainder of his weekend and will join me today. My family are obviously noticing his absence and I am too embarrassed to tell them. I understand this is interfering with his weekend, but this is my sister and she's in critical condition. I'm stunned. He's never been this selfish before. I'm angry, upset, confused, and I just don't know what to do. I told him, if he didn't come home now, don't bother coming home at all. Now I'm wondering if I was too harsh because I haven't slept in 2 days and I'm a wreck. Edit! Wow! I didn't think this would attract any attention, especially this early. Thank you all for the healing thoughts and I just want to clarify regarding this weekend arrangement. My husband and I regularly have dates and nights out with friends throughout the year. This totally alone, do what you like, YOLO. Weekend is the thing that happens once per year. He sees his friends on a weekly basis, as do I update to... Seriously, never expected this many replies. I'm so touched by your kind words. Thank you so much. It's horrifying to me that strangers on the internet offered me more support than my husband. Apologies for not updating sooner, been at the hospital all day, and not checking my phone, mostly because I don't want to speak to him. My sister is still in the same condition, not breathing on her own yet, waiting for some test results to answer some questions. Thankfully, Ella is with my best friend. I didn't want her exposed to a hospital ICU in around panicked and highly emotional family. So, she's happily having a sleepover with her other auntie. I realized I made it sound like my husband and I only get 1 weekend per year, which is my fault. This 1 weekend we call YOLO weekend is on top of weekly nights out, time with friends, time alone, etc. It's more of a chance for us to do things further afield or go nuts without having to worry about waking up early with Elle. Trust me, he sees his friends all the time. That's what hurts the most. I've read your comments about an affair, and I don't know. It doesn't seem likely, but who the F knows? At this point, he's not the person I thought he was. He did show up this afternoon. I met him in the lobby, told him to go F himself, and went back up to the ICU. I don't want him here. I'm still running on no sleep, so I'm probably being an underscore now. But I hate his guts at the moment. That's all for now. Thank you all so much again. Second update. Hi everyone. I'm not sure whether anybody remembers me or really cares for an update. It blew up more than I ever imagined at the time. If anybody's interested in an update, here it is. Most importantly, my sister. She is alive. Thank God. The universe, most of all, the amazing medical team she had. They were able to bring her out of the coma and there was no brain damage, which was an unbelievable relief. Unfortunately, she still has a long recovery ahead of her and is essentially relearning how to walk. But she's alive, and we've all grown so much closer as a family. Thank you, sincerely, to everyone who cared enough to send well wishes. Update! On egg husband. Whoever suggested he might be having an affair. Ding ding ding. He wasn't with the boys that weekend. He was with a woman from work that he'd been seeing for about a month. It took him so long to get to the hospital because he was panicking and calling his friends to beg them to cover his ass. Essentially, a few weeks after my sister's accident, one of his friends came clean to me when the guilt became too much. The rest of his friends continued to lie until my husband basically confessed. Needless to say, we're separated. I am planning to file for divorce, but things have been very busy, and I've been looking after my sister Andelle, my daughter, so it's something I haven't gotten around to just yet. But I will. I'm not sure what else to say. Life is sort of just slowing down again, and we all have to get used to this new normal. But more than anything, I'm just grateful my sister is going to be okay. My neighbor claimed my tree as community property and started stealing fruit from it. I have a big old pear tree that sits completely inside my fenced backyard. It's been there for decades and produces way more fruit than I can eat. So, every fall, I give bags of pears to friends, coworkers, and even some neighbors. This year, my new neighbor knocked on my door with a clipboard and said the tree technically belonged to the neighborhood because its branches hang close to the fence line. He then told me he was putting together a harvest schedule where different families could come pick from it each week. I laughed, told him absolutely not, and closed the door. Thought that was the end of it. 2 days later, I caught him in my yard with the ladder filling buckets. He had literally dragged the ladder over the fence to get inside. I yelled at him to leave immediately or I'd call the police. He argued that he was just taking his share and tried to climb down with the boot. I called 911 and he dropped everything and bolted back over the fence. Now I've got cameras pointed right at the tree, and I saved the footage. If he tries it again, he's not going to get off with just a warning. Brother's using common law to evict me from my own house. Hi there. Really? Really weird one here. But to cut a long story short, my brother moved in with me at the start of lockdown because he was living in hotels for some reason. I recently found out this was because he owes around £260,000 in debts to a multitude of small businesses for various reasons. A lot of these cases have gone to the high court and he is being actively pursued by babes. This is in the UK, by the way. When he moved in, he was relatively normal, but vague about why he was living in hotels, etc. Then, as lockdown went on, he started to get more and more obsessed with these free men on the land common law types, which has led to some major disputes, like saying he doesn't have to wear a mask because he's not a subject of the crown, but the Cromwellian Lord Protectorship, and is trying to annex land from the fields behind our house, because apparently you can claim land by throwing a hatchet at 4 corners. Well, recently the Baifs somehow caught up with them and they were pretty nice lads. Explained everything to me. But after he said he wouldn't pay, even if he had all the money in cash, they took his car. Ever since this, my brother has been furious with me, so we started avoiding each other around the house. This weekend, I went away for a mini break on the coast and came back to find all the locks have been changed and windows boarded up. Garden furniture is nowhere to be seen. Rang my brother, who basically explained as the house was unclaimed. He made a de facto eviction of me from the house, making him sole owner, and if I attempted to make entry, he'd have every right to kill me, under the provision that an Englishman's home is his. Casa, I'm staying with my parents, which isn't ideal, as they should be shielding. And I went on the mini break, but when I contacted the police, I was told as a tenant, he has every right to change the locks, dead confused. Any help is very much appreciated. By the way, in England, also very, very scared. If more Baifs come to the house, they'll seize my stuff thinking it's his. Quick update! I'm speaking with solicitors about what I can do now and how we can get rid of him. Rang 101, and police aren't exactly helping. They dragged their feet and said, I need to go to court, etc. But yeah, solicitors have told me that this won't be too hard, and he should be out ASAP. And that brings us to the update. Hello, everyone! For those of you who have been following my little saga, got some great news! Back in the house and otherwise, everything's still here. Spent the whole day making sure, and nothing's been trashed. But there's tons of Domino's boxers in the kitchen. Apparently, he'd contacted the bank trying to access my accounts and spunked any money he had left on pizzas in celebration. So, he is now both homeless and has no money. So, spoke with the solicitor, who's my dad's one, and he basically picked apart literally every bit of this common law bull crap, and we rang the police again, got stonewalled. With the tenants can change the locks, and you'll need an eviction order! Solicitor explained the situation about how he was a guest and evicted me. Response back was literally, I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. You need to take this up with the housing authority because it's a civil matter, not a criminal one. Well, solicitor basically said police aren't going to help us. So, we can either go for a court order or try and get baifs now. Went for the second as I need them out ASAP, and they said this would be very easy. So, baifs turn up with locksmith. I don't exactly know what happened as me and the solicitor were waiting around the corner, but I do know the police were called and he got carted away. I assumed that it'd be the end of it, but he's been contacting my parents, saying he's the rightful owner of the house now and that he just needed some time to get back on his feet. Well, they've basically disowned him as of this. So, looks like he's kinda screwed himself. And I assume the police let him back on the streets, so going to have to be wary. But I just hope he saws off. My fiance told me, this is it. Take it or leave it. So, I gave him the ring back and told him to get out of my house. My fiance, T.O. M37 me, and I, 28, female, had been together 2 years. He moved into my house 6 months ago and proposed a month ago. I thought we were solid, but now I'm questioning everything. I inherited a fortune 3 years ago. It changed my life, but I live below my means. I work part-time as a teacher, travel, and have a non-profit in the works. I budget carefully, so the money lasts. Only my dad and sister know the full amount. When Tom moved in, I paid everything except most groceries. He wanted us to eventually buy a bigger house together so his dad could move in. I said no to living with in-laws, but suggested maybe a separate unit someday. He pushed back, but agreed we needed to discuss finances first. Tom earns around $1,000 a month and has $100,000 saved. I have millions invested and about $40,000 a month income from it. When I told him, he was shocked. He said, if I have so much, why not just buy the house and cover everything? I explained that just because I can doesn't mean I should. I proposed separate finances, a joint account for expenses, and splitting costs proportionally to income. I also told him I wanted a That's when things blew up. He argued we should be equal partners, meaning I buy the house in both our names, even if he doesn't contribute. We fought about this for days. Eventually, he gave me an ultimatum. Final offer. You buy the house. We each own 50%. I'll sign the Take it or leave it. I asked if that meant breaking up if I said no. He hesitated but said yes. So, I left it. I took off the ring, told him it was over, and that he needed to move out. He backtracked, saying he didn't really want to end things, just wanted me to agree. He accused me of throwing away our relationship for money. I told him he threw it away by demanding I fund our life and give him half of our assets I work to protect. Anyway, friends, that's going to be all for today. Thank you for watching. As always, I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already for more Reddit content like this, and drop a comment down below. So, take care, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you next time.